Travel along, Catholic pilgrims, for 1 year as we read through St. Faustina's diary. Join me, Amy Thomas, each day for a short reading out of the diary which brought us a deeper understanding of Christ's divine mercy. Welcome, Catholic pilgrims, to day 280 of our readings from St. Faustina's diary. Another 10 days down. Congratulations. Today we're going to have more interesting scenes from the convent. One in particular, a sister passes away in the night and her spirit comes to Sister Faustina needing prayers and to let her know that she's passed away. And then very curiously, Sister Faustina is asked to help get her ready for burial. And there's an interesting scene that goes along with that. But what we're mostly going to talk about is what Christ says to her and about how he is just ignored sometimes in the Eucharist and nobody pays any attention to him and how he's just treated like a dead thing. And so that is our conversation for today in Notebook 5, numbers 1382 through 1387. When Sister Dominic died at about 1 o'clock in the night, she came to me and gave me to know that she was dead. I prayed fervently for her. In the morning, the sisters told me that she was no longer alive, and I replied that I knew because she had visited me. The sister infirmarian, Sister Chrysostom, asked me to help dress her. And then when I was alone with her, the Lord gave me to know that she was still suffering in purgatory. I redoubled my prayers for her. However, despite the zeal with which I always pray for our deceased sisters, I got mixed up as regards the day, and instead of offering 3 days of prayer as the rule directs us to do, by mistake, I offered only 2 days. On the 4th day, she gave me to know that I still owed her prayers and that she was in need of them. I immediately formed the intention of offering the whole day for her, and not just that day, but much more, as love of neighbor dictated to me. Because Sister Dominic, after her death, gave the appearance of looking so well, some sisters said that perhaps she was only in a coma. And one of the sisters suggested to me that we ought to go and put a mirror to her mouth to see if it would mist, because it would if she were alive. I said all right, and we did as we said, but the mirror did not mist, although it seemed to us as if it had. Nevertheless, the Lord gave me to know how much this had displeased him, and I was severely admonished never to act again against my inner convictions. I humbled myself profoundly before the Lord and asked his pardon. I see a certain priest, probably Father Sapotsko, whom God loves greatly, but whom Satan hates terribly, because he is leading many souls to a high degree of sanctity and has regard only for God's glory. But I keep asking God that his patience with those who constantly oppose him might not run out. Where Satan himself can do no harm, he uses people. November 19th. After communion today, Jesus told me how much he desires to come to human hearts. I desire to unite myself with human souls. My great delight is to unite myself with souls. Know, my daughter, that when I come to a human heart in Holy Communion, my hands are full of all kinds of graces which I want to give to the soul. But souls do not even pay any attention to me. They leave me to myself and busy themselves with other things. Oh, how sad I am that souls do not recognize love. They treat me as a dead object. I answered Jesus, O treasure of my heart, the only object of my love and entire delight of my soul, I want to adore you in my heart as you are adored on the throne of your eternal glory. My love wants to make up to you, at least in part, for the coldness of so great a number of souls. Jesus, behold my heart, which is for you a dwelling place, to which no one else has entry. You alone repose in it, as in a beautiful garden. O my Jesus, farewell. I must go already to take up my task. But I will prove my love for you with sacrifice, neither neglecting nor letting any chance for practicing it slip by. When I left the chapel, Mother Superior Irene said to me, You will not go to the catechetical lecture, sister, but will remain on duty. Very well, Jesus. I thus had throughout the day very many opportunities for sacrifice. I omitted none, owing to the strength of spirit I drew from Holy Communion. There are times in life when a soul is in such a state that it does not seem to understand human speech. Everything tires it, and nothing but ardent prayer will put it at ease. In fervent prayer, the soul finds relief, and even if it wanted explanations from creatures, these would only make it more restless. In 2019, when my oldest graduated, we went on a trip to Montreal, and while we were there, we went to the Cathedral of Notre Dame. I think it's a basilica. And, from the outside, it's, stone church. Doesn't look that impressive. But oh my word, when you walk in, it is breathtaking. Simply breathtaking. It's so rich. The colors are amazing. It literally took my breath away. I had to collect myself. And as we were walking in for the first time, you can do a tour. Now, my family, we had no idea what this entailed. And so, of course, we wanted to take the tour. We wanted to hear about the history of the church, and we wanted to know about the artwork that's in the church because it's just magnificent. But what I noticed as we were walking around is that there was a lot of tourists in there, just snapping pictures right and left. I don't mind sometimes that people take pictures of beautiful churches. I get it. I understand. I take a lot myself because I want to share them with all of you. But there was just a disregard for the holy place that it was. And the place was just filled with people. There was no opportunity for going in front of the Blessed Sacrament in the church in a quiet place and, having some time to, pray in front of Christ. You could go around back behind the altar, and there was like another medium-sized chapel behind there that no pictures were allowed. The Blessed Sacrament was back there. It was quiet. Nobody was allowed to just mosey around and snap pictures. So you could go back there, but it was still a little disappointing to me that the space was treated more like a museum instead of, a holy place. You could just tell that there were a lot of people in there, not because they were moved by God, but because the building is just a work of art. And I get that. I do. But still, it's God's house. It's not just the Louvre in Paris. So anyway, we buy tickets, and I'm thinking maybe we're gonna have one of the nuns lead us around and show us everything about the church. No, we're all seated in the pews, the crowd that was on our tour time. And a woman who wasn't even Catholic, I don't even think she was a believer, gave us a 20-minute talk about some of the art in the building. But the thing that killed me is that the whole time in the talk is that she was kind of joking and mocking Catholics, because she's like, yeah, here in Montreal, nobody really comes to church anymore. We have these beautiful churches, but nobody really fills them anymore. Pretty much everybody is agnostic or atheist, maybe more spiritual. And actually, a lot of churches in the area have been turned into apartments. And, she was just like, no regard for the Catholics in the room or even the Christians in the room. She was almost pleased by it. And I was absolutely disgusted. I pretty much shut off, and I didn't really want to hear anything else she had to say. She did talk a little bit about the artwork behind the altar, which was gorgeous, but it was such a sacrilegious tour. I was so disappointed. And so later on that day, we wanted to come back for Mass, and nobody's allowed, inside unless you're actually attending Mass during those times. Thank goodness. And there was hardly anyone in there. Hardly anyone. And it was in French, which is fine. I not that I speak French or anything, but I know what's going on. But I was heartbroken through the whole thing. Just heartbroken. because I felt what Christ is talking about here today. He says, "But souls do not even pay any attention to me. They leave me to myself and busy themselves with other things. Oh, how sad I am that souls do not recognize love. They treat me as a dead object." And I felt that during the Mass. I was just like, Christ, I am so sorry that so many people come in here and just don't even recognize the holy space that they're in. You are here, and people are just oblivious to it or don't even care, just indifferent, don't just have no regard for the space that we're in. And Sister Faustina says here, "My love wants to make up to you, at least in part, for the coldness of so great a number of souls." And I sure felt that day. I really did. I just, part of me kind of wanted to walk around to people and be like, "Do you know exactly what is going on in this church? Christ is up at the front and you are just laughing and talking really loudly, and you don't even seem to care that this is a house of God. This is just not a museum here. And show some respect." I really did want to do that, but I didn't want to cause a scene either, as far as, getting thrown out and not being able to attend Mass there. But still, it was just a clear example of, just a disregard for the holy space. And the Catholic Church, for her part, needs to tamp down on that kind of stuff. Not letting these beautiful churches be used as a museum, and instead have people who are actually Catholic walking around, asking for quiet. It's okay to take pictures, but when you come up to the altar, maybe you need to stay back a little bit and not just swarm around as if you own the place. There needs to be a level of respect. I went into mosques in, Turkey, and they don't allow many pictures in there. They did in the Hagia Sophia, but I think they treat that a little differently. But if it was like no pictures, then I was like, no pictures. That was their sacred space, and so I respected that and treated it with, a level of regard that they would want me to treat it with. I don't agree with their religion, but I'm still not going to treat it badly. So I just think also, as Catholics ourselves, when we go into a church, we need to make sure that we are showing that Christ is present. This is a special place. Yes, the artwork may be beautiful and the architecture may be fantastic, but let's show others that this is a place where God dwells, and we need to treat it as such. So that is all for today, Catholic pilgrims. I will see you back here for day 281. And until then, live the faith boldly and travel well.